when you have people who have supportive networks, right? They're in harmony with their families and they have like good, solid friend circles. Work feels a lot less threatening and draining and like a chore. It's we have whole people working, which is the goal.
This is another episode focused on the Dream Manager. I was joined by Alyssa Ruble, who is the Dream Manager for Chick-fil-A Greenwood, South Carolina. We talked all about how she was introduced to the program. She is a full-time Dream Manager. They have 2 locations. So we talked about how she rolled the program out and, of course, the impact that the Dream Manager is having on their culture, which, as you know, Chick-fil-A is already known for a great culture, but how has it helped improve the culture even more? I hope you enjoyed this episode. Alyssa, thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
It's going to be such a fun conversation because you are the Dream Manager at Chick-fil-A.
I am Chick-fil-A of Greenwood. Woo-hoo.
Shout out. And what's cool is most Chick-fil-A owners, they only have 1 location, and you actually are the Dream Manager for 2 locations, 1 owner operator, which is very unique. So tell us a little bit about what it is that you do and the structure.
Sure, yeah. Like I said, I'm from Greenwood, South Carolina. In our town, we have 2 Chick-fil-A's. So there's 1 location that's a drive-through only, and then the other location is what we call full service. So that's like you can go in and eat or go through the drive-through. And I believe combined, we have it's around 200 employees on our roster. I might be incorrect on that, but it's around that number. And we've got about 80 people in the Dream program. So we've chosen a somewhat central location for both restaurants. It's a coffee shop in town. And I meet with employees from both restaurants there.
So cool. And it only makes sense that you have the Dream Manager because it's Chick-fil-A. I mean, you guys are the standard when it comes to culture. And I'm sure you hear all the time, my pleasure, from your family and friends. And
Oh, yeah. I would be lying if I said, though, that even if I don't mean to say it, like if I'm in another restaurant, if I'm on vacation, it's still my pleasure. It's always our pleasure.
Well, it's ingrained in you. That is the culture, and you take it with you outside of the office, outside of
Yes.
work. That's just how it goes.
It's in our heart. Yes.
So tell us a little bit about your journey. How did you become the Dream Manager?
Yeah. So I would say my journey is a bit unconventional. I was actually an English teacher. So I taught middle school and high school English, and I did teach overseas for a little while as well. I would say this would have been back in 2023. I made the decision to pivot out of education, and Chick-fil-A has a good reputation. And I just thought, well, I can pursue grad school while I'm working at Chick-fil-A. I just loved their values and the work environment. And so it just made the most sense, right? So I started just serving chicken, serving the people of Greenwood. And I got to speaking with our operator, Brian, and I had been at Chick-fil-A for about a year at that point. And he was just asking me what my career ambitions were. And I told him, I just really had a heart for people, like the one-on-one interactions and helping people take their lives to the next level. So for me, that looked like pursuing my graduate degree in social work. And anyway, he said, okay, you and I need to chat. And so at first I was like, okay. So I went back into his office and he told me about the Dream program. So apparently there had been like a meeting of some sort with like, I don't know if it was regional Chick-fil-A's, but they had an opportunity to learn about the Dream program. And Brian knew immediately that he wanted to implement that into his restaurants. And so he offered and entrusted me with that. And it's just been such a great ride and the biggest blessing ever. So that's the long story short.
Yeah, and we work with quite a few Chick-fil-A owners, and Matthew has spoken at a couple of your big conferences, and that's when I got to get to know Chick-fil-A a lot more and meet a lot more of the leadership, and it was one of the most, it was definitely a different crowd of people, like really,
Mhm.
truly being surrounded by like thousands of people that care about people. it was
Yeah.
it was just so wonderful. And I just every table that I went to and all the different people that I got to meet, you could really feel that sense of creating a culture where people grow and thrive and you want people to be successful. You want them to grow. A lot of talk about how yes, we love that people come and they start, like you said, serving chicken and just being there, but then to know that they have an opportunity to potentially move up and become a manager and maybe become an owner one day. It was just so ingrained in everyone's conversation around, yes, like we know we need to hire great people. We need to hire great people that care about people because we have to get them into that my pleasure mindset,
Yeah.
which you can teach, but also sometimes it's just some people definitely have that demeanor more so than others. And so to be able to find those right people and attract those people into the organization. When you and I spoke a couple of weeks ago, you had said that when you initially rolled the program out, it was interesting because some people were, yes, right on board, and others were like a little bit more skeptical, which we do hear. So, how was it when you actually started rolling it out and let people know about it? And how did that work?
Yeah, so it wasn't experimental because you guys have the program like all wrapped up so nicely. But I mean the rolling out of it. Like I was cracking up because I would hear it was like people would come to the meeting and then they would go run back to the restaurant, back to their shift, and everyone would be like, "How was it? Like what was it about? What did you talk about?" And so to me it really highlighted how so many people are conditioned to expect disappointment or to expect like some sort of string attached. And so to have a program where it does involve people trusting you, like trusting that this is truly just for their benefit. This is like, we're not expecting anything from you. This is just for you to invest in your own life. And we want to see how we can help you, how we can resource you. And for people to see that that is the truth, that that is reality, it's been really neat to see the program grow from that because now, like, I don't have to advertise it. Now, I get messages, it's been weekly now, being like, hey, like, how do I get into the program? But at first, it was a ton of hesitation, a lot of curiosity. And it really just took, I think by like month 3, people were like, oh, okay, like, it's nothing crazy. Like it really is for me. But I think too, because it's so novel, like this is not something that is common practice in workplaces, especially quick service. And of course, Chick-fil-A is different, but even in our employees who had worked at other Chick-fil-A's, they've said like, I've never heard of this before.
Yeah, most people have never had a coach.
Right.
Most people have never experienced that. And especially when your employer is investing in you and saying, no, no, we care about you and your dreams. It's so different for them that it's almost like you can't blame someone for questioning it a little bit. And
Yeah. I mean, I just met with someone yesterday who was curious about the program. And so I sat down with this person and was talking with them and they said they were like, I'm sorry, I just like I'm having a hard time believing that this is free to me, that my employer wants to do this. They were just saying, like, I've never encountered something like this before. And which is sad that that's where we are in culture today. But it's really cool to be a part of something that is so countercultural.
yeah, I could just imagine. What's the catch? There's no catch. There is no catch. It's literally for you to help you. That's why the book is so great because in it, Matthew shares why dreams are important. And then when your team members discover, oh, so this is for me personally, but knowing that, hey, if I'm getting better, if I'm growing, I'm going to also be able to contribute and help the organization grow. And that's great because we want to feel like we're making an impact in our work, in the work that we do. So now we learn all these new skills and you're getting to become a better individual, better communication, better relationships, learning about the genius of your personality, and you're growing in all those areas. And now you're coming into work and you're going to start to see things through a different lens. And that is valuable to both parties.
Yeah, absolutely. And I meet with some of our directors, I meet with leads, I meet with trainers, and then I meet with just like our team members. And so it's all layers of management. Like we're creating it as like part of our identity, which is really cool. And that is changing culture, right? Because our employees feel seen and cared about and invested in. And even being able to take this, and Brian is amazing, right? I can't even begin to dive into his generosity, but even being able to connect people with like what they might need outside of Chick-fil-A. Like we want them to have lives outside of work. Obviously, that's extremely important. And when they come into work, now they're happy and they're excited because work is not just an obligation, it's helping them achieve their dreams. And even with like, you mentioned the genius of your personality, even getting people to realize, like, oh, this is who I naturally am. This might be potential for vulnerabilities. These are my strengths. It's just been really cool. And it's been really neat to see people even acknowledge each other's dreams. And it's like people are cheering each other on as well.
Have you seen success in that people, because they uncover and discover a little bit more about themselves, like the genius of their personality, that they then can say, oh, maybe this is why the introvert on my team and I don't necessarily get along as well as some of the extroverts because this person is highly extroverted. But now you understand a little bit more how other people work and communicate.
Yeah, it's really neat to see the light bulbs. And obviously, like, I feel like when you work in any type of business, like the dream managers, like we get the tea, right? Like we know like the interpersonal workings. And it's just really cool to see, no matter who it is, just that, oh, like, yeah, I do tend to like draw in when I'm stressed or afraid of failure or whatever. Or, oh, yeah, like it's important to me that I'm seen as XYZ. And so just being able to see how that plays out, even in the workday, let alone their interpersonal lives. I've spoken with people who have said, like, oh, I want to deepen my relationship with a parent or a child. And then that session in particular, the genius of your personality, really lets them get down like into the nitty gritty of just like more pieces. And it always leads to like deeper, richer conversation as well. Rather, the Myers-Briggs has a lot of good information, but it leads to a lot more too.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite session?
Okay, so far I would say for as far as impact that I've seen, the finance sessions have to be like my absolute favorite, sessions 3 and 4. As far as like rewiring habits and rewiring the way we think, I think the physical mastery one is really interesting. I love like how it's like challenging people to view food not for like good and bad labels, but does this energize me and make me feel the best version of myself or does this not? That's like revolutionary for a lot of people too. But I've seen huge, like, I'm not joking when I say most of my messages from people are like, oh my gosh, I have to tell you, like, this is how much I've saved, or I paid off this card, or truly, it just is, it's incredible that I love that we get to offer this to people because this is also information that a lot of people were taught growing up, or it's something that they need brushed up on, and it makes a huge difference.
Yeah, it's wild when you go into those sessions and you realize how many people have never put together a budget. They
Mhm.
don't really know what they take home. They don't really know what they're spending, especially today when there's so many apps that people use and we pay for on a month to month basis. And we might not realize, oh, wait a second, I'm still paying for some random technology that I signed up for a year ago and I haven't really done anything with in 7 months. And to be able to get your head into that space, that's what it takes. It just takes being a little bit intentional and having someone that is offering you really great questions to uncover some things in your own life that you can change.
Yeah, and I would say too, out of all the sessions thus far, I believe I'm only as far as session 8. We're not quite a full year into the program, but I do personally believe the finance session requires the greatest level of vulnerability and honesty from people because money is so taboo. especially for women. I think that it's a really difficult conversation. And so it just invites that. It invites the transparency, it invites the honesty. And then we see the greatest growth. I mean, I have a young gal, she's going to head off to college and she already has like a month's rent saved up. Like she's forward thinking, right? It's getting them to think like beyond today, which it's definitely a privilege, of course, but it's so cool to be able to aid people in getting there.
So, what are some of the dreams that have been achieved so far? Obviously, many, many more to come. I know you've already touched on some of the dreams that are on most people's list, which I think when we look at all of our dreamers across the board, financial freedom is on most people's list and some type of physical dream, whether they want to lose weight, be more fit, be more flexible, whatever it looks like, there's always some type of physical dream that they have on their list. So, what dreams have been achieved that have stood out to you so far?
Well, I'd say the first one that comes to mind is adventure dreams. And it does, I love that so many of these, they like double dip, right? Because not only is it an adventure to like go travel, but there is a financial component as well. So I met with a woman, she's like nearing her retirement years. And she was just explaining like she really wants to take her husband to Alaska. Like that was on his list. They're very hardworking people. He's wanted to do this his whole life. And the smile she had on her face, because we worked through the financial components of all of that. And one of her action steps for that goal was to do some research. So like, okay, figure out like, are you wanting a cruise? Are you wanting like to take a plane and like set foot in Alaska? Like, what does this look like for you? And she decided for what best fits her and her husband, they wanted to do a cruise. So yeah, the smile on her face when she walked in and she sat that binder down and she said, I booked the cruise. And actually, she texted me before. She couldn't even wait till we got to session, but that was so cool, like absolutely incredible. And because that's something people don't just do. That's not something, it's not like a annual experience for most people. So that was really, really neat. And it required, she had a lot of things to do before she got to that point. She paid off a lot of different bills and took care of different savings and things like that. So it was hard earned and all that much more rewarding. So they leave sometime this fall, I believe. Another one that comes to mind, I think the relational ones, the emotional ones are always really rewarding too. I met with a gal in our first meeting. One of the first things she said off the bat is like, I'm getting married this year and my dad and I don't speak. And she's like, I just can't stand the thought of walking down that aisle and my dad's not there. And she's like, I need to make it, we need to make it right. Obviously, the relationship session, the emotional intelligence session is further down, emotional mastery. But each time we just kind of chatted and caught up like, hey, how are we doing? Have you reached out? Have you done X, Y, Z? And obviously, not all relationships work this way, but for hers, it worked out. There were some things that she found common ground with, some goals that she set as far as communication. And so now, like, her dad is going to be part of the wedding, and that relationship is definitely on its way to being restored. So that was a really rewarding thing to experience as well. So there's more. I can give you more, but
I love the relationship one is so powerful. Even when we just do a training and we do a dream storm and we ask that question, what one relationship would you most like to improve? And you just see all these responses come up on the screen, and it's just, their sisters, spouse, mothers, like just any type of family member. And then you know what always shows up, Alyssa? What always shows up and I just love is myself. Better relationship with myself. And I think that, again, this all goes back to intentionality. And this is why having a coach, this is why having a dream manager is so important, because you are being, not only are you being fed new content with the curriculum and with the book, The Rhythm of Life, but you have a dream manager like you who's really encouraging you to make the hard phone call, right? Like during our trainings, I'll always say, okay, now is your opportunity. You just wrote someone up here that you want to build, you want to have a better relationship with. Now's your opportunity to call them, text them right now. What right now before we even leave and say, I want to have a call, or let's grab a coffee, or when we need to reconnect and I really want to see you, or whatever it is to start that conversation. And I often wonder how many people in the room aren't doing it because they, for whatever reason, they're scared. They don't want to be the one that reaches out. They have the resentment, whatever it is. We sometimes just need to be that bigger person. And so you, as the dream manager, get to push that person into making the call, which I'm sure was hard for that person to have to do.
I remember being given that opportunity during my dream manager training and how impactful that was for me, and also the war that I had. And I've just like, and it was just a text, it wasn't even a phone call, but just that, like, oh, I don't know if I really want to send this. But it was so powerful being able to do that. And so now I do use that. And so thank you for that, for that tool, because it's powerful. Just, and even I think a lot of times, what's cool about these sessions is it gives people the space to kind of get creative and find creative solutions to difficult problems. So even with relationships, relationships are not a math equation, right? It's not like do this, and then it's better. But what are some habits and things that we can start building into our life, that just so that we can say, I have done everything that I can think of on my end to restore this. And so for some people, it's consistent phone calls, it's consistent text, it's like going to church on Sunday with their families. It's whatever that looks like. And so, yeah, extremely powerful. And then thinking about the difference again that brings to the workplace when you have people who have supportive networks, right? They're in harmony with their families and they have like good, solid friend circles. Work feels a lot less threatening and draining and like a chore. It's we have whole people working, which is the goal.
You mentioned obviously that you know how to roll this program out and you know how to deliver the content because of our certification and the easeability. We make it so Matthew created it to be simple for a reason, knowing that if it's not simple, then people aren't going to do it. And so talk a little bit about your experience going through Dream Manager certification and how you felt after when you had all the resources that you needed to roll the program out.
Yeah, well, going from when I tell you it was like 0 to 100 so fast, because I was approached about the idea of the dream manager position at Chick-fil-A of Greenwood, and I think I signed up a week later, like, for the training. And so the whole concept was, I'm telling you, I was going in so fresh. Like, I didn't even have time to do any research on my end. I feel like I just showed up. Like, I just got off the plane and was like, okay, here we are. And what I thought was so cool was just obviously the way the materials are all laid out. It's intuitive. I don't know how to describe that any better, but I did feel like the sessions they're very full, they're packed. And I did remember having a slight moment of panic of like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can retain all this information. You can't, like, you can't retain it all, but you don't have to retain every single piece of information because the program is so, it's really there. To me, the benefit was being with other dream managers, getting that practice of that face-to-face interaction. So there were tons of exercises that we did together where you would like practice going through a session with someone else. It gets rid of those nerves, I think, that a lot of us were feeling with new content and then presenting that to someone. So there was really good practice there. And then obviously, not to make this about me or anything, but I do feel like it enriched my life because I was learning how to be a dream manager, but like I was absorbing the content as well. So even taking the things that opened my eyes during my training and then being able to turn around and like plug that into the way that I present material has been really, really impactful. I would recommend it. I feel like that training makes all the difference in like the success of the program personally.
The cool part about the certification is exactly what you said. Whether you actually are the dream manager, or we do see that a lot of CEOs will come with someone else on their team. So it'll be the CEO or the owner that comes, just to be part of it, to see what it's all about. And then they bring somebody on their team who's actually going to be the certified dream manager like you. You're actually doing the coaching. And what I love about it is it impacts the CEO in such a way that not only are they now even more confident about the program and they're even more excited about it, but it's changed their own perspective and their own life. And they're going to think about things differently. And that's what's so cool is that the certification it does both things. It's almost like even if you did that and you did nothing with the program, which of course we do not advise,
Right.
you got to roll it out, but it still changes you as a person. It helps you grow. It helps you see things differently. And so I absolutely love when we continue to hear people like you that say, oh, no, but I was using the content. And what's cool about being a dream manager, and I don't know if you had this experience, I assume that you do, is that when you're coaching your people, there are some sessions where you're thinking, wow, you walk away thinking, I got more out of that session than the person did.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, what's that saying? Like, I teach, so I learn, like that sort of thing. I feel like every session, there's usually a little like takeaway. Sometimes they're like little micro takeaways, and sometimes I feel like the repetition is what gets things ingrained in my head. So it's not enough to just like know the material, but like I want it embedded in my life. So getting to walk through this with people and then even the insights that people share with me, I write things down. I'm like, hold on, can you say that again? And I like will write things down just because I feel like our team members teach me all the time. I learn things so often. So
This is why I love that because you're sparking these conversations, these very interesting conversations. And I do think that we can learn something from everyone. And when you open up an interesting dialogue, you're almost forcing someone to think about their life differently. You're forcing them to consider a situation differently. And what shows up can be remarkable. In fact, it sometimes surprises the person because they just didn't know if they didn't know their true feelings about something or they didn't
mm,
realize how much control or power they did have over their lives. And so when you get to see that little light bulb moment, wow, it's just unbelievable. And this is why coaching is a gift. Coaching is a gift. And so, Brian, we love working with owners like Brian who care about their people enough to have a full-time dream manager. I mean, you're a full-time dream manager. Not all of our dream managers are full-time. Some of them, they are in the HR department and it's just a piece of their role. But to have a full-time dream manager that is tasked with helping your people grow and then to see the benefit on the other side. And I love when Matthew shares that most dream managers will only know about 1% of the impact that they truly have on an individual because what you are able to teach them now, they will take with them for a lifetime. And they'll bring that to whatever role they're in, whether it's a new job or a new role as a husband, a father, or a mother, and whatever it is. And so it is just so powerful. How have you seen the impact? I mean, we've kind of been talking about it, but when you look at this program and how it has shifted the culture, you guys already have a good culture, right? But how has it helped enhance the culture at Chick-fil-A?
well, I think so to start with, yes, I think Chick-fil-A, I'll say it this way. It's not optional for us, right? It's like if you work here, not in a bad way, but it's like, no, you will be pleasant to customers. We are people first, people forward. The difference now with this is that it's not, that does cost us something, right? Like to constantly be keeping other people in mind, to have that culture of Chick-fil-A of, yes, my pleasure, whatever. Like, how can I serve you? But this is us pouring back into our people. So now it's a thing where like our employees are not working from a space of like depletion or like we are fully pouring into them as much as we're asking them to pour out. And it's a lot. We ask a lot of our employees. And so I think it's so honorable what Brian is doing of saying, like, we know we ask a lot. We know that we want to be the best in Greenwood. We want to be the best Chick-fil-A in the state, in the country, so on and so forth. And so in order to do that, we have to invest in you. And I would say also practically, like we have a group me chat, like for both restaurants. So we have a Chick-fil-A chat. And I have seen a huge uptick in, I would say, even the last 3 to 6 months and it is mostly leadership who is in the program. We don't use the chat as much for correction or for anything like that. Now it is shout outs, acknowledging people, like giving them their flowers, right? Giving people their props. And so it's really turned into this culture that I don't know, like fosters the dreams of our people. We care about our people. We're more kind, we're more forbearing and understanding. And we are super intentional about lifting people up. Like that seems to me that it's become like a very important part of what we do. So pouring into our people as much as we ask them to pour into our customers.
How do you feel the Dream Manager has helped and will continue to help retaining great team members?
Yeah, I think so, especially when we get down to any of these sessions, really, it's like I keep saying, it's providing space for people to answer questions that they've not answered about themselves before. Or if they've had those questions, they've not had the capacity to answer them. So I think that like self-discovery, like peeling back those layers, it's helping people see what they're passionate about and what they're good at. And like, can we find something for you within these walls, like within Chick-fil-A, whether it's our Chick-fil-A, whether it's corporate, to fulfill that. And other people come to the realization of like, hey, I love my job and I love outside my job. So I'm happy staying here because I get poured into, I'm compensated fairly, and that helps me achieve what I love outside of work. So it's both. I feel like this fosters that like, oh, I want to grow within the company type of people. And it also fosters like, hey, my life is great and I know what I want to do when I clock out and I like clocking in. So it's not I think it works for both crowds.
Yeah. And once people hear about, well, Chick-fil-A is a great place to work, people know it's a great place to work, but now adding that layer of having a dream manager and the community talking about it, you're shifting that culture too of, oh, wait a second, not only is it this great culture, but they have this program called the Dream Manager. It's I have a life coach for free. Wait, what? What is this? And that is definitely enticing for a young person, especially if it's a person that does have dreams of potentially staying in the organization and continuing to move up and potentially owning their own location.
Yeah, absolutely. And because I think Chick-fil-A, as far as corporate goes, it's a system, right? There's lots of like boxes to check if you're wanting to move through, which is great for goal setting. And I work with several people who their goal is to rise up. Either they want to operate their own franchise, or some of them are like, I want to work in IT at corporate, or I want to work for HR in corporate. And then other people are like, hey, I just really want to be a lead here. I love Greenwood. I love the people I work with. So
all right. Well, Alyssa, I'm very excited to see what you continue to do with the Dream Manager over there and continue to get more and more people into the program and the impact that it's going to have. And you're just doing really wonderful work. So thank you for your work as a Dream Manager and continuing to spread this message and encourage people to dream. We so appreciate it.
oh, thank you for having me. It was my pleasure.
It was my pleasure to have you on the show, and we'll have to have you come back. And we've also been talking about having Brian come on too to talk about it from his perspective. So I'm excited to get him on the show as well. Alyssa, thank you so much for being here. And hey, we'll see you soon.
All right. See you.
I could talk to our dream managers all day. Don't you just love hearing the stories of the impact that the Dream Manager program has on people? Just really helping them grow, helping them see their lives differently. And I love how really this comes down to empowerment. This program empowers people to take control of their lives, to take back control, and to recognize and realize that they have the power to achieve their dreams. Sometimes they need to be rediscovered. Those dreams need to be brought to life by their dream manager. And then that encouragement, that accountability, that support to help them achieve those dreams. It is such a beautiful thing. And I just love our dream managers. So If you are interested at all in learning more about the Dream Manager, you can go to thedreammanager.com. Of course, we would love to have that conversation with you. And I also hope that this episode inspired you in some way to ask your team members about your dreams. When is the last time you asked your team members, what are your dreams? And we will leave you with, what is one of your dreams? What one dream are you most looking forward to achieving this year? And what are those steps that you're taking to achieve it? As always, thank you so much for being here. And until next time, lead with culture.